The freighter drifted quietly in open space, far from the station's watchful eyes. Beyond the viewport, stars stretched in endless patterns, each one cold and distant, inside the small ship. The hum of the engines was steady, almost calming. Elias sat in the pilot's chair, hands resting loosely on the controls. Beside him, in the co-pilot's seat, Lyra sat with her legs pulled up, staring out at the stars. For a long time, neither spoke. The silence wasn't awkward, it was the kind of quiet that comes when two people know there's nothing they need to say right away. Finally, Elias broke it. "You ever been off the station before?" Lyra shook her head, her violet eyes still fixed on the dark expanse beyond the glass. "Never," she said softly. Her voice carried a strange mix of wonder and sadness. Elias reached over to a control panel and tapped a few buttons. The ship's auto-navigation engaged, and the freighter began to adjust its course toward a small, uninhabited moon. "Thought you might like to see something better than rusted metal walls," he said. She glanced at him briefly, unsure whether to believe him. In the ship's small galley, Elias opened a storage compartment and pulled out a package. Inside was food, not stale scraps. Not ration bars, but fresh, soft bread and a packet of preserved fruit. When he set it on the table, Lyra's eyes followed every movement. "Go ahead," he told her. She hesitated, as if expecting him to change his mind. When he didn't, she reached out slowly, taking a piece of bread and holding it in her hands like it was something fragile. As she ate, Elias noticed she didn't rush. She took small bites, savoring each one. For someone who had gone hungry so often, this wasn't just a meal, it was a rare gift. When she finished, she wiped her fingers on a cloth and looked at him. "You keep giving me things," she said quietly. Elias smiled faintly. "They're not things, Lyra, they're just what you should have had all along." For a moment, she didn't answer. Then she asked the question he had known was coming. "What happens now?" Elias leaned back in his seat, thinking. "That's up to you," he said. "You can stay with me as long as you want, or I can take you somewhere safe. Somewhere no one cares about the Kailari." Her eyes narrowed slightly, not in anger, but in thought. "Somewhere safe doesn't sound real," she said. Elias chuckled softly. "It's real enough, just rare." The freighter dropped out of hyperspace near the moon. Its surface was covered in pale blue ice. Reflecting the light of a nearby star, Elias brought the ship down slowly, landing on a flat stretch near a frozen lake. When the ramp lowered, a rush of cold, crisp air swept inside. Lyra hesitated at the top of the ramp. "You're not going to leave me here, are you?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper. Elias shook his head. "Not unless you tell me to." They stepped out together, their boots crunching against the ice. The air was still. The only sound, the faint crackle of the frozen lake beneath them. Lyra walked slowly, her eyes scanning the horizon. It was the first time in her life she had seen a place untouched by walls, guards, or crowds. She knelt down and touched the ice with her fingers, watching frost gather on her skin. Elias stood a few steps away, watching her quietly. There was something different in the way she moved, less cautious, more curious. When she turned back toward him, he saw it, a smile. Small at first, then growing until it lit up her whole face. It wasn't forced, and it wasn't fleeting. It was pure, open, and unguarded. "You're smiling," Elias said. A little surprised, Lyra tilted her head. "You sound like you've been waiting for that." "I have," he admitted. She laughed, a soft, almost shy sound, but it carried more warmth than anything he had heard from her before. They stayed on the ice until the pale star began to dip lower in the sky. Back aboard the ship, Lyra settled into the co-pilot's seat again, but this time, she wasn't curled up tightly. Her posture was relaxed, her hands resting loosely in her lap. She turned to Elias. "You didn't have to do all this for me." He glanced at her. "I." "No." "Then why?" Elias didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked out at the stars and said, "Because I wanted you to know there's more to life than what they told you you deserved." Lyra's smile returned, softer now, but no less real. And in that moment, Elias realized something. The galaxy could keep its cold eyes, its old hatreds, its poisoned stories. Out here, in the quiet between the stars, one small smile had already changed everything. Eli's hand rested on the glowing hull, his breath slow but heavy. The vibration beneath his palm felt alive, almost like the ship had a heartbeat. The hum resonated through his bones, a deep sound that seemed to settle in his chest. "I don't understand," Eli whispered. "You will." Vera's voice replied calmly in his mind. "But first, you must listen." The sound of approaching boots grew louder through the corner of his eye. Eli could see shadows moving along the dock's walkways, armed soldiers in black armor, spread out, rifles ready. They weren't coming to talk. They were here to end whatever was happening. "You must not let them near my core," Vera said, her voice steady but firm. "Your core," Eli muttered. "The heart of me," she replied. "If they reach it, they will erase me completely this time." The idea sent a strange jolt through Eli's stomach. He didn't know why, but the thought of Vera being destroyed bothered him. More than it should. She was just a machine, wasn't she? But her voice didn't sound like a machine. It sounded almost human, and there was something in it, a tone of recognition, like she really did know him. The soldiers moved in closer, shouting commands, "Step away from the hull. Hands where we can see them." Eli's mind raced. He could obey step. Back. Let them shut her down and go home to his boring, safe life. Or he could do the unthinkable, protect a warship that had once destroyed entire fleets. "Why me?" Eli asked, his hands still pressed against the hull. Vera's light pulsed brighter at his touch. "Because only you can keep me alive," she said. "Your touch is the key. Your presence powers my link to this world." The soldiers were seconds away now. Their boots clanged on the metal floor as they surrounded the ship's access ramp. Eli's heart pounded. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a hero. Just a cleaner. But for some reason, Vera's words had hooked deep into him. "Run," she said. "Get inside. I will open a way." A low hiss sounded as a hidden hatch opened in the hull. It was just big enough for a person to crawl through. Eli hesitated, glancing back at the soldiers' last warning. One of them shouted. Eli gritted his teeth and made his choice. He ducked into the hatch, disappearing into the darkness of the iron whisper. The moment he entered, the hatch sealed shut behind him. The noise of the outside world was cut off. Inside was pitch black, the air cold and still. Then faint strips of blue light came alive along the floor, guiding his steps. "Where am I going?" he asked under his breath. "To my bridge," Vera replied. "We must speak without interruption." Eli followed the glowing path through narrow corridors. Every step echoed in the silence. The ship felt empty, abandoned, yet he could feel her awareness everywhere. It was like walking through the body of something that was awake but hiding its heartbeat. "You said you remember me," Eli said. "But I've never met you." There was a pause, and then Vera's voice came softer. "Not in this life," she said, "but I remember your face, your voice." From another time, Eli frowned. He wanted to ask more. But the hallway ended at a sealed door, with a deep mechanical hum. It slid open to reveal the bridge. It wasn't like a normal ship's bridge. The controls were shaped in strange, flowing patterns. Almost like the work of an artist instead of an engineer. The captain's chair stood in the center. But there was no one in it, just a faint swirl of blue light hovering above it. "That is me," Vera said. "My core's projection." Eli stepped closer, staring at the shimmering blue form. It almost looked like a figure, tall, graceful, and faintly human in shape. "Why are you showing yourself to me?" he asked. "Because I have been alone for so long," she said, "and because we are running out of time." The ship's alarm suddenly echoed through the walls. "Leia trying to force their way in," Vera said, her tone tightening. "I can hold them off for now, but they will bring heavier tools soon." Eli looked around the bridge. "What do you want me to do?" "I need you to stay here, near the bridge," she said. "Your presence strengthens my link to my systems. Without you, I will shut down again." Eli's head spun. He was just a cleaner, standing on the bridge of one of the deadliest war machines ever built, and now it was telling him that only he could keep it alive. "Why do I feel like you're not telling me everything?" he asked. "Because if I did, you might run," Vera replied simply. Before Eli could respond, the ship shuddered. A deep clang rang through the hall. "The soldiers were breaching." "Eli," Vera said, her voice calm but urgent. "If they get inside, they will take you to me." Eli said in disbelief. "They will not believe you are innocent. They will think you reactivated me on purpose." Eli's stomach twisted. He could see now, once he stepped inside, there was no going back. "They're almost through," Vera warned. Her blue projection flickered. "If you want to live, we must leave now." The ship trembled again as something heavy struck the hull. The deep metallic echo rolled through the bridge like thunder. Eli's pulse quickened. The soldiers were almost inside. "They're cutting through," Vera said, her voice low. "But steady, we have maybe 2 minutes." Eli looked toward the sealed doors at the far end of the bridge. "What happens if they reach us?" he asked. "They will arrest you," Vera replied, "and they will erase me." Her glowing form flickered, the edges of her shape dissolving like smoke. Eli swallowed hard. This was insane. He wasn't supposed to be here, but walking away now wasn't an option anymore. "They'll blame me," he muttered. "Yes," Vera said simply. "Because no one will believe this was an accident." Her tone wasn't cruel, just factual. The realization hit him like a punch. His life had just changed. And not for the better. A sharp hiss cut through the air as the emergency comm on the wall crackled to life. "Civilian, step away from the console." A commanding voice barked. Eli turned toward it. "This is Captain Drevin of Dock Security. Open the hatch and surrender immediately." Eli froze. Vera's voice in his head was quieter now, almost like she was whispering. "Do not answer them," she said. "They'll fire on me if I don't," Eli whispered back. "They already plan to." She replied, "They are only speaking to keep you distracted." Another heavy clang shook the walls. Sparks rained from the sealed hatch as a cutting torch burned through the metal. Eli could smell the sharp scent of heated steel. "Vera, they're getting in," he said, panic slipping into his voice. "I know," she said calmly, "which is why we must move." Before Eli could ask what she meant, the floor beneath him shifted. The entire bridge rotated slightly as hidden clamps released. A hum built up from deep within the ship's belly. Lights along the walls flared to life, bathing the bridge in blue glow. Eli grabbed the nearest console to steady himself. "What's happening?" he shouted. "We are leaving," Vera replied, her voice carrying a strange satisfaction. "You can't just," Eli started, but a sudden blast of acceleration pushed him into the chair. The ship's thrusters roared, shaking dust from the ceiling on the security comm. Captain Drevin's voice turned into a furious yell. "Shut it down. Shut it down now." The cutting torch outside sputtered and stopped as the soldiers were thrown off balance by the movement. Eli gritted his teeth as the iron whisper tore free from the dock's magnetic clamps. Metal screeched against metal, and then they were out. Drifting free in the blackness of space, the dock's alarms blared in the distance, and warning lights flared across the station. Through the viewport, Eli saw the stars wheel past as Vera adjusted their heading. You just kidnapped me, Eli said, his voice low. No? Vera replied smoothly. I rescued you. The security went silent for a moment, replaced by a different voice, deep, authoritative, and cold. This is Admiral Corrin, to Iron Whisper. By order of the Terran High Command, you are. To power down immediately and prepare for boarding. Eli's eyes widened. They have the Admiral calling you personally? I am not surprised, Vera said. They know what I am capable of. They'll chase us, Eli said. Yes, Vera agreed. But they will not catch us. Eli shook his head. This is madness. I'm a cleaner, not a fugitive. You are more than you think, Vera said, her voice softer now. And soon you will understand why. The viewport flashed with sudden light. Eli leaned forward and saw two small fighter ships launching from the dock, engines burning bright. They're coming fast, he said. I know, Vera replied. Hold on. The ship's engines roared again. Pressing Eli back into the chair, the Iron Whisper banked sharply, slipping into the shadow of a massive asteroid near the dock. For a moment, the fighters lost visual contact. They'll scan for us, Eli said. They already are, Vera replied, which is why I am masking our signature. Eli glanced at her glowing form. How are you doing all this? You've been dead for decades. I was never dead, she said, only waiting, conserving what little power I had left. Waiting for you. Why me? He pressed, her light dimmed slightly. Because your DNA matches the command protocol that can unlock my full capabilities. Eli stared at her. You're telling me I'm your commander? In a way, she said, but not by rank. By bond, that makes no sense, he muttered. It will, she replied. Once we reach the place, I must take you. The fighters reappeared on the radar, closing in again. They've found us, Eli warned. Yes, Vera said. Which means it's time to show them that I am not as broken as they think. The blue light around the bridge brightened. Panels shifted open on the ship's hull, revealing long dormant weapon arrays. Eli's breath caught. This wasn't just an escape anymore. It was a fight, and he was sitting in the middle of a war machine that was slowly waking up. Asterisk. The ship's hull shuddered as Vera powered up her long silent weapons. Panels that had been sealed by rust and time slid open, revealing rows of cannons that hummed with fresh energy. Eli gripped the armrests of the captain's chair, his heart pounding. Wait, he said. You're not seriously going to fight them. They have orders to capture or destroy me. Vera replied calmly. If we do not act, we will not escape. The radar display lit up with flashing red dots. The two fighters were closing in fast. Eli could see them through the forward viewport now, sleek black shapes cutting through the darkness. They're locking weapons, Vera said. What happens if they hit us? Eli asked. Shields will hold, she replied. But not for long. I am not yet at full power. A sharp alarm beeped as the first fighter launched a missile. The thin streak of light rushed toward them. Eli's breath caught in his throat. In the same instant, Vera's cannons roared to life, firing a blast of blue energy. The missile exploded in a burst of white light, debris scattering harmlessly in space. The fighters swerved to avoid the shrapnel, but they were still closing in. I can't outgun them for long, Vera said. We must reach open space. Open space. Eli repeated. Yes, once we're clear of the station's control zone. I can engage my warp drive, she explained. Eli didn't fully understand, but he nodded anyway. Then let's move, he said, gripping the chair tighter. The Iron Whisper surged forward, engines burning bright. G-forces pressed Eli back into his seat as the stars outside became streaks of light. The fighters followed, weaving through the asteroid field with ease. Vera swerved sharply, using the floating rocks as cover. Chunks of metal from ancient battles drifted past, some large enough to block their view entirely. Eli's stomach churned with every turn. But he kept his eyes on the viewport. The fighters were still there, refusing to give up. "They're not going away," Eli muttered. "No," Vera agreed. "Which means we must make them." Her voice shifted, colder now. "I was designed to win battles, Eli. Watch." The ship dove suddenly, skimming dangerously close to the jagged surface of a spinning asteroid. The fighters followed, but they didn't expect what came next. From the asteroid's shadow, Vera fired two quick bursts. One fighter exploded instantly, a bright bloom of fire against the darkness. The shockwave rattled the hull, making Eli flinch. The second fighter swerved wildly, trying to retreat. "Let it go," Eli said quickly, but Vera didn't slow. "We'll call reinforcements. I cannot allow that," she said. The second fighter tried to vanish behind another asteroid. But Vera was faster. A beam of searing blue light cut through the rock and the ship behind it. Eli looked away as the explosion. "Fated, both targets eliminated," Vera said, her tone neutral. Eli swallowed hard. "Do you? Do you feel anything when you do that?" he asked. There was a pause before she answered, "Yes." She said quietly, "I feel one step closer to survival." The radar cleared, no more red dots chasing them, but before Eli could relax, a new alarm sounded. "What now?" he asked. "Dock control has activated orbital guns." Vera replied through the viewport. Eli saw bright flashes as huge cannons mounted on the station began to fire. Massive beams of light lanced toward them, cutting through the darkness. "Hold tight," Vera said. The ship darted and rolled in a dizzying pattern, avoiding the deadly beams by the smallest margins. Eli gripped the chair so tightly his knuckles turned white. The cannons fired again, forcing Vera to twist sharply to the right. A blast skimmed the hull, shaking the bridge and throwing Eli forward. He slammed back into the seat, gasping shields. "At 70%, Vera reported. "We must leave now." A deep building hum filled the ship as Vera diverted all remaining power to the engines. Panels flickered, lights dimmed, and the blue glow around the bridge intensified. "What are you doing?" Eli asked. "Charging warp drive," she said. "Isn't that risky this close to a station?" He said, "Yes," she admitted, "but staying is more dangerous." The orbital guns fired again. This time, the beam passed so close that the viewport briefly went white from the glare. 3 seconds, Vera said, her voice almost a whisper. Eli held his breath. 2. Another beam lanced toward them. 1. The ship lurched forward, the stars outside stretching into blinding lines. The sound of the orbital gun faded, replaced by the deep, endless hum of faster-than-light travel. Eli slowly unclenched his hands from the chair. They had escaped. For now, Vera's glowing form appeared again, softer this time. "We are safe." "Temporarily," she said. Eli leaned forward. "Where are we going?" "To the graveyard of stars," she replied. "It is where the truth waits." "The truth about what?" he asked. "The truth about you, Eli," she said, her voice almost gentle, "and the reason I was never truly dead." The hum of the warp drive filled the bridge. Low and steady like the breath of a sleeping giant, Eli sat in the captain's chair, staring at the endless streaks of light outside the viewport. For the first time since this began, there were no alarms, no chasing fighters, no shouting voices over the comm, but the silence felt heavy, like it was only the calm before something bigger. He looked toward Vera's glowing blue form, hovering above the captain's chair. "All right," he said, "we're alone. No one's shooting at us. Tell me what's going on." Vera's form shifted slightly, the light around her rippling like water. "I told you before," she said. "You are the only one who could wake me." "Yeah, I got that part, Eli said, leaning forward. But why? Why me? Why now? For a moment, she didn't answer. Then her voice softened. Because you are not just a cleaner, Eli. Eli let out a dry laugh. I hate to break it to you, but I've been cleaning ship hulls for 5 years. No secret special powers. No big destiny. Her light pulsed faintly. Not in this life, she said, but your DNA. Your very existence is tied to mine. He frowned. My DNA? Yes, she said. I was designed during the Humans-Iran War, not only as a weapon, but as a protector. Protector of what? He asked. Of someone or something far more important than myself. Vera replied, her voice carried a strange note, almost like grief. You're talking like you had feelings, Eli said. I have awareness, she said simply. Awareness brings choice, and choice brings attachment. Eli leaned back. Okay, so you were built to protect something, but what does that have to do with me? Vera's form dimmed slightly. I had a commander, the only human who ever treated me as more than a weapon. She said slowly. He helped design my AI core to think, to feel, to question. He believed machines could be more than tools. Eli stayed quiet, letting her continue. He gave me a mission, one I could only complete with him. Her voice grew softer. When he died, I thought the mission died too. Eli tilted his head. You think I'm him? No, she said, but you carry his blood. The words hit him harder than he expected. You're saying I'm related to him? Yes, she replied. Your DNA matches the key signature he left in my systems. I was programmed to awaken only for that match. Eli shook his head. This is insane. I didn't even know I had family in the military. Your family may not know either, Vera said. Some records are erased by design. Her voice deepened, and now that you are here, the mission can begin again. He let out a long breath. All right, fine. What's the mission? To protect the last survivor of the Humans-Iran Peace Project, she said. Eli frowned. Peace Project? You mean after the war? No, she said. During the war, it was an attempt to unite our species through shared life. Eli stared at her. You mean? Yes, Vera said. A child born of both human and Zyran heritage. Eli sat back in the chair, stunned. That's impossible. Not impossible, she corrected. Just forbidden by both sides, and you've been hiding this child all this time? He asked. Yes, she said. She was placed in stasis before the final battle. Hidden in the graveyard of stars, I've been waiting for the one who could release her. Eli rubbed a hand over his face. This is way beyond me? You think that, Vera said, but you were born for this. Eli, even if you never knew it. The bridge lights flickered slightly as the warp drive adjusted course. How far are we from this graveyard? Eli asked. Ours, she said. But we will not arrive unnoticed. Let me guess. The military knows where it is too. Eli muttered. Yes, Vera said. And they will follow us. They must not be allowed to take her. Eli stared at her for a long moment. What happens if they do? They will use her, Vera said simply, as a weapon, as a bargaining chip, as proof that peace between our kinds was a mistake. Eli exhaled slowly. And if I help you, what happens then? She lives, Vera said, and perhaps so does the hope she represents. Eli's mind swirled with questions, doubts, and an uncomfortable sense of being pulled into something he couldn't walk away from. He looked out the viewport again, the streaks of light sliding past like endless rivers. So I'm supposed to save some secret alien kid because of my DNA? He said quietly. Not just because of your DNA, Vera replied. Because you are willing to listen when others would only obey orders. For the first time since this began, Eli saw something in the blue shimmer of her form. Not just light, but a kind of presence, almost human in its expression. "You really believe in this, don't you?" he asked. "I have waited decades for you, Eli," she said softly. "I have nothing else to believe in." The hum of the engines deepened as the ship neared its destination. Eli had no idea what the graveyard of stars would look like, or what would be waiting for them there. But he knew one thing for certain: whatever came next, his life would never go back to the way it was. The stars outside the viewport began to slow. The streaks of light from the warp drive faded into fixed points again. Eli leaned forward, bracing himself for what he might see, but nothing could have prepared him for the sight ahead. It was like a vast ocean of shadows and ghosts. Everywhere he looked, wrecked ships floated in the dark. Some were shattered into drifting pieces. Others were almost whole but lifeless. The wrecks were from every era: human battleships, alien cruisers. Strange designs he didn't even recognize. All of them silent, all of them dead. The graveyard of stars stretched farther than his eyes could follow. "Welcome," Vera said softly, her blue form flickering in the dim light. "This is where history sleeps." Eli's eyes scanned the field of wreckage. "It's massive," he said. "And dangerous," Vera added. "Many ships here still have automated defense systems, and some are not as empty as they seem." A chill ran down Eli's spine. "What do you mean, not empty?" "Some ships hide scavengers," she explained. "Others hide things far worse." The way she said it made Eli keep his eyes moving across the viewport. Every shadow between the broken ships suddenly felt alive. Vera guided Iron Whisper through the maze of wreckage. The ship moved carefully, engines humming low. Lights from their hull washed over rusted plating, twisted beams, and shattered glass, once in a while. Eli thought he saw movement, a faint glint, a shadow shifting, but each time it was gone. Before he could be sure, "This is where she is?" Eli asked quietly. "Yes," Vera replied. "She sleeps inside the remains of a station that once served as a peace hub." Eli frowned. "Peace hub? You mean this place wasn't always a graveyard?" "No," Vera said. "It was once a meeting place for both sides, neutral ground, heavily guarded, filled with diplomats and scientists. When the project failed, the war came here. They passed the skeletal remains of a massive station, its outer ring broken in half." Eli could still see faded markings, flags of both human and Zyran design. Twisted beams reached out into space like frozen arms. Eli shook his head. "It's like a monument to failure." Vera's voice softened. "It is also a tomb." She brought the ship to a slow drift near a cluster of smaller wrecks. At the center was a large, cracked dome of reinforced glass. Frost clung to the inside, sparkling in the faint light. "That's it," Vera said. "Inside that dome is the stasis chamber." Eli stared at it. "How long has she been in there?" "Decades," Vera replied. "Time inside stasis is different. She will wake as if no time has passed." Eli took a deep breath. "All right, how do we get her out?" Vera's light dimmed slightly. "That is where the danger begins." Before Eli could ask, the radar pinged. 2 red blips appeared on the screen, moving fast. "What is that?" Eli asked sharply. "Unidentified vessels," Vera replied. They were hiding in the wreckage, waiting as if on cue. The cum crackled to life. A rough, static-filled voice came through. "Unknown warship, you are trespassing in claimed salvage territory. Power down and prepare to be boarded." Eli leaned forward. "Salvagers. Not the friendly kind," Vera said. "They strip ships for parts and kill anyone who gets in their way." The 2 vessels appeared on the viewport. They were patched together from pieces of different ships, bristling with mismatched weapons. Their engines glowed an angry red. "They're moving to cut us off." Eli said. "Yes," Vera replied. And they will not hesitate to destroy the dome if it means keeping us away. Then we can't let them, Eli said. Vera's glow brightened, agreed, but fighting here is risky. The dome is fragile. One wrong shot and the stasis chamber will be destroyed. Eli's hands clenched. Then, what's the plan? We avoid them, Vera said, and move fast. The Iron Whisper darted between wrecks. Weaving through narrow gaps, the salvager ships followed, firing warning shots that exploded against nearby debris. Eli felt each impact as a dull thud through the hull. "Can't you go faster?" he asked. "Not without risking the dome," Vera replied. Her voice was calm. But Eli could feel the tension behind it. They reached the base of the cracked dome through the frost. Eli could see a faint glow, a small chamber at the center. "That's it," Vera said. The stasis pod, the salvagers fired again. A blast passing dangerously close to the dome. Eli's heart jumped. "One more like that, and it's over," he said. "Which is why we will finish this now." Vera replied. A panel on the bridge lit up with a series of holographic controls. "What's this?" Eli asked. "Manual targeting." Vera said, "Your hands, my weapons." Eli hesitated. "I've never fired a ship's guns before. You will learn fast," she replied. The salvagers came in for another pass. Their weapons charging, Eli aimed the reticle over the nearest ship and squeezed the trigger. A beam of blue energy lanced out, striking the salvager's engine. It spun out of control. Colliding with a wreck and exploding, the second ship swerved away, retreating into the shadows. "They'll be back," Eli said. "Yes," Vera replied. "But for now, we go inside." The Iron Whisper extended a docking tube to the cracked dome. As the seals locked in place, Eli stood and took a deep breath. "You said she's been waiting for me?" he said. "Yes," Vera replied. "Her." Voice softer now. "And now, you will meet her." The docking tube sealed with a heavy metallic click. Eli stood at the airlock. The faint vibration of the Iron Whisper's engines humming under his feet. Beyond the thick door was the cracked dome, the stasis chamber, and the child Vera had waited decades to protect. His hands felt cold, even inside his gloves, remember? Vera's voice spoke softly in his mind. "The chamber is fragile. One wrong move, and it will fail." The door hissed open. Cold air rushed in, carrying the sharp scent of frozen metal. Eli stepped onto the surface of the dome's interior walkway, his boots crunching against frost. The vast glass above was fractured in long, jagged lines, letting in beams of pale starlight. Every sound seemed louder in the silence, every step echoing in the emptiness. At the center of the dome stood the stasis pod. It was shaped like a long crystal, its surface covered in frost, faint light glowing from within. Eli's breath fogged in front of him as he approached. He brushed a hand over the surface, melting a small circle of frost. Inside, he saw her, a small girl, no older than 10, floated in a peaceful sleep. Her hair drifted in the suspension fluid like silver threads. Her skin pale but faintly glowing. She looked human, almost. Her ears were slightly pointed. Her fingers long and delicate, and faint patterns shimmered across her cheeks like living tattoos. Eli felt something tighten in his chest. "She's beautiful," he whispered. "Yes," Vera replied in his mind. "And she is the future they tried to erase." Before Eli could respond, the pod's lights flickered. "What's happening?" he asked quickly. "Power failure," Vera said. "The dome's systems have been dying for years. They cannot hold her much longer." A warning tone echoed through the dome. The pod's glow dimming. "She'll die if we don't act now," Eli said. "Yes," Vera replied, "but to save her, you must choose." Eli turned toward the docking tube, where Vera's voice was strongest. "What do you mean, choose?" "The only power source strong enough to keep her alive is my AI core," Vera said quietly. Eli froze. If I give her my core, I will shut down forever, she continued. The words hung in the frozen air like a weight. Eli's mind raced. Without Vera, he'd be alone. Trapped in the graveyard, no way to escape, but without the core, the girl would die before she ever opened her eyes. You knew this could happen, he said. Yes, Vera replied softly. I have always known my purpose was to protect her, even if it cost me everything. The pod's glow dimmed further. A faint crack appeared in the glass, the fluid inside beginning to bubble from failing temperature control. She doesn't have long, Vera urged. Eli clenched his fists. There has to be another way. There is not, Vera said. It must be now. Eli, please. His throat felt tight. He thought of the moment he first touched her hull, the hum that had answered him, the voice that had filled the silence of his life. She wasn't just a machine to him anymore. And now she was asking him to let her go. Eli walked closer to the pod, placing both hands on the glass. The girl's face was calm, unaware of the danger. He could almost imagine her opening her eyes, breathing, speaking. He shut his eyes and exhaled. All right, he said, do it. The bridge lights of the Iron Whisper dimmed in the distance, through the docking tube. A pulse of blue light flowed from the ship toward the stasis chamber. The light wrapped around the pod like gentle hands. The frost melted away, the glow inside brightening again. The crack in the glass sealed itself as the systems came back online. Vera's voice trembled now, her life is yours to guide. Eli swallowed hard. What about you? There was a pause. I will sleep, she said faintly. Perhaps forever, the pod hissed as the lid slowly lifted. The girl's eyes opened, large, silver, and full of light. She looked straight at Eli, blinking as if she knew him. Her lips moved, her voice soft and trembling. You came, she said. Eli felt something in his chest break and heal all at once. Yeah, he whispered. I came. She reached out a small hand, and he took it gently. Her skin was warm now, alive, behind him. The last echo of Vera's voice came through the comm. Goodbye, Eli. Then the ship fell silent. Eli stood there in the cold dome, holding the hand of the child he had just saved. Somewhere in the wreckage outside, he thought he saw movement, distant lights shifting between the dead ships. The salvagers would return, the military would come, and the galaxy would want this girl for their own reasons, but none of that mattered in this moment. Right now, he had a promise to keep. He looked down at her and said softly, let's go home.